Alright guys, we are back with some more Monster Energy Supercross 6, and today we're going to be checking out 2024 Anaheim 1. A way too early 2024 Anaheim 1. The Super Motocross season just finished up with plus the addition of Motocross Nation, so they have a little bit of a break. I mean, a bunch of testing and stuff, but a little bit of a break, but it's still way too early Anaheim 1. But we're going to check it out here in this game, and this could be the final Supercross game from Milestone. From what it sounds like and what we know, it could be the final game. So this might be the Supercross game that takes us into and through the 2024 Supercross season until whatever happens with the Supercross license, if a game studio picks it up or whatever. So yeah, I want to take a hot lap and kind of go over the track and show you some stuff, and then we'll jump into the actual race. Okay, so before we jump into the main part of the video, I do want to take you around what is going to be a hot lap track walk of 2024 Anaheim 1. So, right off the gate here, we have a quad. It could be a step-on, step-off quad, but it's just fun. They might not do it in real life, but it was fun to do it in the video game. And then we have a double with a single that jumps over the start straight. By the way, we crossed the start straight a bazillion times on this track. And now for the rest of the track here, before we get to the Dragons back, it just crosses itself a bunch. There isn't too much going on here in the back part where we're headed to right now. This should be sand with some sand rollers or whoops, but when I made them that way in the game, they didn't do it for the track. I don't know if it's a bug or what. We have a really long Dragons back there jumping out to the start straight, a small double, and then the finish line jump, which is a double over the start straight, which is pretty cool. We have seen it before. But right after this, we have the Supercross triple. So back to back, really big jumps there, kind of cool, kind of different. And then we head into the only rhythm section on the track. Well, the only main rhythm section on the track. And there was a few different ways I wanted to try to build this. I decided to go double, triple to the top of the table, step off, triple, double. That's how I decided to make it. The way they placed the tables in that rhythm section with the amount of jumps always made it kind of weird, and I always found myself having an odd single into the corner, and I don't really like that. So that's the way I chose to make it. We have back-to-back whoops here, which is going to be kind of interesting. A double onto the start straight, and that's a lap around 2024 Anaheim 1. Now moving on to the actual race. So here is 2024 Anaheim 1. A way too early 2024 Anaheim 1. All the track maps are available to the public. They gave us all 16 rounds with the track map, so you can see what the tracks are going to look like. Obviously, we don't have Daytona yet, but all the other track maps are there, so you can see them. And I just thought it'd be cool to do a 1. And I know we're way too early, and this is kind of the off season, and the Super Motocross season just kind of ended. I mean, if you count Motocross Nations, they run from like January basically to October. I mean, that is a long, grueling season. Now they have a bit of time off before they jump back into Supercross and start it all over again. But yeah, this track is actually mirrored as well. I forgot to tell you that at the beginning. The first turn is a right-hand first turn instead of a left-hand first turn, so I had to mirror the track. It isn't a big deal. Kind of tricky at the beginning to make it fit and make it do what I want it to do in the stadium, but once you get it started, it really isn't a problem, and this is exactly how the track will be, minus it being a mirrored version. Right-hand first turn instead of a left-hand first turn. Now, I don't know if this is how they're going to take it. They always make some changes to the track, and they may not go quad there. They probably won't. It'll probably be a step-on, step-off, and maybe a triple. Maybe they take out a jump. Maybe it's a double, triple. We don't know exactly how it's going to be, but based off of the fact that they had a bunch of quads. I mean, these guys were quadding a bunch of stuff the year before. They probably will quad something on this track. Probably, or at least a very high probability that they do. This Dragon's back was kind of cool because I did mention it. It was a long Dragon's back. There was like 5 jumps instead of 4 or whatever they usually have. So the Dragon's back is kind of cool. Jumping across the first turn is always a an interesting idea and fun for the fans. And then gotta have the Supercross triple. But coming back to the rhythm section here, this was probably the most complicated part for me because I just didn't know what I wanted to do, simply because, again, of how the tables were placed and the amount of jumps they had there. They might not take it that way, but that felt like a semi-realistic approach to that rhythm section, right? So that's the track, back-to-back loops. I chose the medium loop instead of the big one just because it's, I don't know, I don't like going through the big loop in the game. It feels kind of weird and whatever. But what I want to do for the rest of the video is talk about the 2024 Supercross season. So I'm going to start with the 250s because I already did this video once and I wasn't happy with the take. So I kind of squeezed in at the very end because I had a bunch to say about the 450s and I wanted to ask you guys about it. But let's begin with the 250 class. So I think, isn't Hunter Lawrence moving up to the 450s for Supercross? I'm pretty sure he is. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments. Don't want to have wrong information out there. But assuming he is, I would say Joe Shimoda and Hayden Deegan should be the favorites. Now, I don't know what coast each of them are going to race. If I was them, I would want to race the opposite coast because each of them should be a favorite. Hayden Deegan just keeps getting better and better and better and better and should be a favorite to win the 250 East or West Championship. And Joe, I've always been a big fan of Joe. He looked great, you know. Well, he did and he didn't. He didn't look amazing until, what was it, Ironman? Ironman, he really turned it on, and then throughout Super Motocross, he looked fantastic. So I really think Shimoda should be a favorite to win it. RJ Hampshire looks really good, and I would assume he could kind of be a favorite as well. Sometimes the problem with RJ Hampshire is he has the speed and is really good, but then he'll have like those weird races where he kind of crashes out and doesn't finish very well. So the consistency, I would say, is the biggest problem for Hampshire. There's other ones, Kitchen for sure, but those would be my favorites to take the championship. And then moving on to the 450s, this field is deep. It is a deep field. We hear it every year. People say it every year, how deep the field is. It's crazy. This is one of the deepest fields I can think of. It is incredibly deep. And if you're finishing top 10, you're doing insanely good. You know, you're doing insanely good because so many of these riders could easily win a race. I mean, Roczen, the way he's been riding, I would be surprised if he doesn't grab at least one win, maybe more. I know Barsha got pretty seriously injured during Super Motocross, but the way Barsha was riding the year before, he could easily grab a win. Anderson didn't do as much as I thought he would do, but I still think Anderson could definitely grab a win or two. Obviously, the Lawrence brothers, for sure. Jet definitely is going to be getting some wins and going to be contending for a 450 championship. I don't think he's going to go undefeated in Supercross, and no, it's not motocross. It's a different animal, but he definitely should be getting some wins. I would be totally shocked if he didn't get any wins at all. If Hunter Lawrence is there, for sure Hunter Lawrence could be competing for some wins. Cooper Webb, you know, I'm a fan of Cooper Webb, but I am not sure about him anymore, about if he can win. I really think he can win. I mean, he rode great last season, but I don't know. Moving over to Star, I don't think it's a bad decision. Star has a great team and gets that bike working perfect for the riders, and what he did during Super Motocross doesn't necessarily mean how he's going to do during Supercross, but I would be surprised if Webb isn't, you know, contending for at least a win or two. And then my sleeping giant, I know we need to talk about Sexton, but my sleeping giant would be Tomac. He ruptured his Achilles tendon the year before, but I'm sure he's going to come back and be the same monster that he was before. I really think Tomac is going to be competing not just for wins, but for the 450 championship. I think he's hungry and wants to go out on a championship because he had that other one wrapped up last year. It's just unfortunate what happened to him. And Chase Sexton definitely should be a favorite. Yeah, people say that it was gifted to him, and maybe it was to some degree, but he was in the position to be there. He usually was qualifying fastest for the night show, and he's the champion. So Chase Sexton definitely is probably going to get some wins and should be a favorite going for the championship. So that's what I think. Let me know down in the comments how you guys feel, and we can go from there. But you guys and girls are absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for the support on the channel lately. It really does mean a lot. And until the next video, take it easy.